Not clean.
Hope everybody's having a great day. It's plenty clean. It's plenty clean.
It's clean enough.
That's right. I hope everybody's having a great Tuesday. Mine's already off to a phenomenal start.
It is.
Yeah.
State.
P1 Rufio has brought in a
Nuggies.
smorgasbord of McDonald's nuggets and sauces. We were talking about this last week. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yes. Thank you, P1 Rufio. We talked about this last week in that I don't know who you guys called a monster for eating their nuggets with ketchup. Who was that?
It was Paul Mullen.
Paul Mullen. That's right.
From Wrexham AFC.
Yep. And I was like, well, I'll eat chicken McNuggets with ketchup. And you guys thought I was a monster. I just haven't experienced chicken McNuggets with really anything else because, I don't know, I don't eat chicken McNuggets. Is that a fair enough? I think that's a fair enough answer to that.
Yeah,
you know?
but you also, when you went to ketchup, like,
yeah,
I just don't, I don't understand that. Like, I didn't eat a ton of fast food as a kid, but when I did, and when we went to McDonald's, you made that trek from the Denny Hall section of Beaverton all the way down to Cedar Hills McDonald's. It was always sweet and sour.
All I knew is that they had barbecue and ranch, and I've tried both of those as a youngin'.
And those are their two worst sauces. Hands down.
I can say they were bad, and so ketchup was the better option than those two. But I have been enlightened, and I am here to officially power rank my McDonald's dipping sauces.
Ooh, because you tried the Mambo, the spicy jam, the sweet and sour, the hot mustard, spicy buffalo. Did you try the honey mustard?
I did try the honey mustard.
And the honey mustard.
Yep.
So you got 6 of them.
I do. Sweet and spicy jam is number 1.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's the first time I've had that one. It is a banger.
It's
That's
really
one of
good.
the new ones.
That
it's
is
very tasty.
That's new?
Oh, yeah.
It's new.
Yeah.
That and the Mambo are both brand new.
Okay. I will go sweet and sour is number 2.
Ooh.
A favorite of P1 Rufio. I thought that was really good.
It's
It was
good, isn't it?
number 2.
Yeah.
I will say and I'm not a honey mustard guy. I'll go honey mustard was number 3.
Oh.
Okay. I will still put ketchup number 4.
Wow, you seemed very pleasantly surprised by the spicy buffalo, though.
Yeah, it was okay. And then I had a second bite, and I was like, not as good. Not as good. Not as good as I was thinking.
Too overwhelming in the vinegar?
A little bit.
Okay.
A little bit.
I love a good vinegar sauce.
And I'll just say it was like fast food buffalo sauce. So.
It is. It's very, very, very strong, and it's also been sitting in a package.
Wasn't that great? Then I'll go the Mambo, and then the spicy buffalo is dead last.
Okay.
Those are my official power rankings.
Did you try the hot mustard?
Yeah. No. They didn't. We didn't have hot mustard. We had the honey.
No, we had hot mustard.
Oh, we did.
There, yeah.
Bah, didn't see. I didn't even see that.
Okay.
I didn't even see that.
You still have a nugget left, right? Don't you?
Yep.
There you go.
I'll be able to go and get.
Give me a break,
I'll go put that in the power rankings. Please respect my decision.
I'm not fighting your rankings other than the ketchup. Ketchup should not be in these rankings.
Yeah,
It's very weird.
Look, it's better than some of the things that we had out there. I feel like if we're in fairness to ketchup, like ketchup would have been something to have out there. So like we could all just try it. And because have you had it? Have you had it?
Oh,
No.
God. Ugh.
Yeah. Ooh, in this one too, this texture, Vancouver Ford text line, 503-864-6326. I always dipped McDonald's nuggets in their honey. Sounds weird, but it's bomb.
Oh,
I remember having that as a kid.
Yeah.
Like that's like the actual honey.
Yeah.
And just getting that everywhere in the car, and then I ditched that because of on the account of getting it everywhere in the car.
Oh, yeah, because honey's just a nightmare. Once it gets into something, it is impossible to get out.
Yeah, but I appreciate P1 Rufio for expanding my horizons.
Yes.
Making sure that I could get out and experience all of the McDonald's sauces.
Your chicken nugget wings.
Because I will tell you this right now, I would not have done that on my own.
No.
There's no, I would not have done that on my own.
Rufio, though, for also including the fries. Because, God, I hadn't had a McDonald's fry in forever.
Yeah. I mean, he dots his I's and crosses his T's.
100%.
Like, he makes sure that it's all on the
It was
up
like a
and
little
it's on the
nugget
level.
buffet.
Very good. Thank you.
He took good care of us.
Yeah, he did. So that's how we started our day. And look, my life is for the better because of it. How many other people out there, your lives are better because of
Nuggies?
What you did before noon today.
Right?
You know?
Gifted chicken nuggets.
Yeah. I also, another success, I have put my Christmas lights up. Actually, phase 1.
Oh, did you finish?
Phase
one.
I finished phase 1. I got Boring Gary's ladder, and shout outs to Boring Gary for allowing me to use his ladder as he does every year.
How do you not have your own ladder?
I do. I have 2 ladders. It's just I don't have the ladder that is high enough to get to the peak of the house, way up there.
Is it a telescopic ladder?
Yeah, I live in a mansion, so it's very high. It's very high that I have
two-story?
to climb up. Yeah,
Okay.
it's 2.
Yeah.
It's a 2-story home, and it has a peak at the top of it because it's a mansion, like I said, and I have to get all the way up there. And here's the thing: I don't need a ladder that tall. Unless I'm hanging Christmas lights.
Yes.
So I'm not going to buy a ladder that tall if Boring Gary has got ladders.
Well, I stole
that tall.
you, but I just stole one from my parents
See?
because they have multiple ladders.
Yeah, that's what I did with my other 2 ladders. Because look, I'm an adult. I do what adults do, which is steal ladders from their parents.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we've got like a 5-foot step ladder, and my dad gave me that one, and I think it's older than I am.
See?
Yeah, see, I've got the 3-footer.
Yeah.
The little
So-
tiny one because
So Uncle Spud lost his middle finger.
that's how he lost his
Trying
one
to fold
finger.
that bad boy up.
Old
And
ass ladder.
Yeah, see? This is what
Have you
all
seen
of us have ladders from our parents.
But
I
I do have
want to
the-
originally bought them.
Nobody buys ladders.
Yeah, right?
No.
I bought one. It's, the old aluminum extension ladder.
The
Yeah, you got that?
telescopic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one where I got to use that one to get up to the like you said, the peak of the
peak of the house.
vault in the living room.
Yeah, because he's got a mansion too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
Yeah, look at
palatial
that.
estate.
I will always,
Mm.
if I can control it,
Okay.
have a ranch home.
Okay. Yeah, single level.
Single level.
Yeah, we went over this yesterday.
I
You
just-
are pro 1-level homes, but I got the Christmas lights up.
Mm.
Timers are working. Timers are key. Setting the timers, making sure timers are off. We have
Why? You don't want your Christmas joy to go around all day long?
No, that's not what I want at all.
Oh.
No, I want my power bill to be down, and I want the lights on only when you can see them.
Shout out the LEDs, though. LEDs keep that power bill down.
Yeah, they do. They
So-
do. But phase 1 is complete.
So what-
we still have phase 2 and phase 3 that need to be done.
What do you do in these particular phases? I need your game plan here.
Well, house lighting is number 1.
Okay.
Just the attaching to the actual home.
Just the gutter.
Yeah, we
or
go
trim.
we go over all the trim, all the peaks.
Okay.
We don't go over around windows. Okay.
That's hard to do for me because my windows are nailed shut.
I don't know why you'd need them open.
Well, for power, it's kind of hard to like. That's the other thing. I guess I should explain this. We don't have. There's one.
Yeah.
One
Outlet.
outside in the backyard.
Okay.
There's nothing in the front. So I
Yeah.
have to start in the back and work my way
Look,
around.
you're preaching to the choir here, because that's one of the fun parts of the of exterior illumination
Is how to start and finish.
Well, yeah, because you have your 100 light strands, you have your 50 light strands. You've got to make sure that you
50?
time this thing up
50?
to where, yeah.
Oh, buddy, I'm 500.
Oh, come on now.
That's literally what
You're
I have.
you're talking tiny lights. We're talking the big bulbs on the house. They're going on the house.
Oh, so you're
house
still
goes
OG,
first.
OG big bulbs.
House goes first,
Okay.
and then you go yard. And we have tree out front. We have a big tree out front, and that's going to be last. And that son of a bee is the bane of my existence. I do not like that tree at all.
How big a tree are we talking?
It's a tall tree. I don't know. I'm really bad at this. I'll say 30 feet tall.
Okay.
That's a guess.
Okay. Pine tree?
No, it's a tree that loses its leaves. I don't know what
Deciduous?
it is. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Going up that tree and putting lights up that tree sucks. It sucks. But we started it when we moved in, and I feel like I have to keep it going now.
Trust me, we had this argument with my
God.
not an argument. My wife and I have had this discussion, and we both agree. We have this bush off center in the middle of our yard. It's kind of like a tree bush thing. It looks like what's the thing from Adam's Family? Thing or it?
Thing. Or wait.
It is the
It
hairy
is
thing,
Adam's.
right?
Yeah, Adam's
Okay.
Family, yeah.
Yeah,
Thing is the hand.
Okay,
Yeah,
so it looks
there
like
we go.
it, but like wider. It's like this drooping willowy bush tree thing.
Okay.
it's getting ripped out eventually, but it takes up a very large section of like a third of our it's like if our front yard's in thirds, it's in the first third, but it takes up a ton. And my wife's debating whether or not we want to light it. And I'm like, think about how many branches and like lines and stuff are in that.
Yeah,
like,
light it on fire.
Yeah, and like that's what we need to do. We need to get rid of it. And we've agreed to not light it because we don't want to highlight how ugly it is.
It's a good call.
Right?
It's a very good call.
So
yeah,
there's that.
All right. It is the season, folks. Catch the holiday joy around your areas. The people that do the LED just like shine them on their home. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a light
like
that you
the
just
little
put
rotating light show that goes on.
Yeah,
there.
and they just projects it onto your home.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Oh, what? Why?
I feel like it's a shortcut. You're cheating you're cheating yourself and everybody out there.
Well, that's not supposed to be in place of. It's in addition to.
Some people do it in place of.
Yeah,
that's what I have a problem
that's
with.
cheating.
Yeah.
It needs to be an accoutrement, not the main course.
Yeah, yeah.
The ones that I really like, these guys that are syncing up their lights, like full on shows.
Yeah, I
music.
don't even know how you do that. Like that's crazy.
No,
that's beyond my pay.
Yeah, no, I mean it's absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
I will take a picture of my neighbor who introduced himself as the Christmas light guy.
Yeah.
And bring it in for all to
It's
see.
a bold move.
Oh no, it's not a bold move.
That's a bold move. Be like, hey, I'm Christmas light guy.
It's not a bold move in my neighborhood.
You know,
because you got to be able to back that up.
Oh, buddy,
there's a standard.
There's no free space.
Yeah.
There's no. It's
You serious, Clark?
It's everywhere. I mean, it's Clark Griswold is impressed by this.
Good
it
for him.
It is the entire yard.
And the Newburgh Power Grid can handle
house.
it.
Iffy. Joe Fish's power did go out the other day.
I'm wondering how do you go about that? Are you getting something new every year? And is that how
That's
you
how
keep
you
it
build
up?
that up. That's how
you just get something new every year, and then where do you keep all that? Like, here's my thing: where do you people have the space for all of this stuff?
He's got a building in the back.
And you just put it all.
Building.
Yeah.
It's because it's a lot. Where do we stand on the inflatables?
I've got an inflatable Ralphie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with inflatables. Yeah. I'm pro inflatables.
Okay.
Yeah.
We had to get rid of one before. It was Santa with 3 reindeer, and how should I put this? Let's just say one day we realized all of a sudden it looks a touch inappropriate. Santa behind the reindeer.
Mm-hmm.
Was he helping him?
That's yes.
Giving all this all push.
Yeah, just give him a little push.
Huh. Yeah, I will tell you right now that I'm not proud of it, but there was some lawn rearranging in my high school times, and it happened quite often. You know, the old school plastic lawn ornaments, those used to be the ones that were still out there.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of lawn rearranging was done in my downtime with me and my idiot friends.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Especially the manger.
Yeah. I mean, anything. If it was in your yard and could be moved, probably was.
Yeah. Rearrange it.
Probably was. Sure. You know?
I like it.
Yeah. Maybe even, put him in the neighbor's lawn one night.
This is an interesting one.
Who didn't have anything on their home.
Vancouver 4 text line. Some houses have built-in LED Christmas lights. Is that cheating also? Who has built-in Christmas lights? That seems bougie as hell.
That's pretty awesome.
I mean,
I'd take it.
Is that really a thing?
I've never heard of it, but
is your house a transformer?
That'd be cool.
I think P1 Rufio may be one of those people because on the YouTube stream, youtube.com/1080am the fan, he says, hired gutter cleaning guy to install my new LED lights along my roof line. Permanent. No more dealing with ladders. So he basically made his home into a transformer. There you go. That's awesome. See, then now, I'm glad that, we may not have cured cancer yet, but we're curing dads on ladders. I think that's
like
important.
If you are a youngman, you could probably make a killing if you were like gung-ho about
exterior illumination. Yeah.
Like, especially if you go around these neighborhoods and you find dad like me who's like, I physically not great for me to do.
Yeah.
How much you want to charge? Like, especially and you
they have that now.
You can have the sliding scale of do you just want to be like everyone else, or do you want to be Christmas light guy in your neighborhood?
I feel like it's I feel like most of the people that do that, those are their pressure washing in the summer gig turns into that's what they do.
Yeah.
In the winter.
Yeah.
See, I always
put down
pressure washing is so rewarding though.
so rewarding.
I always get a little bit of anxiety going up on the ladder because I bought it quite a while ago, and to save a few bucks, I only bought the 200-pound load one.
This is why you steal it from your dad, because
which,
you know he got a good one.
That 200-pound, that's a long way in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, you're flirting. You're flirting with Final Destination there.
Rufio did make a good point on the YouTubes.
Yeah.
How are we just glossing over that Danny said his windows are nailed shut?
Yeah.
Well, because I think we just come to expect things like that now.
That was actually
So don't try to explain yourself.
I'm going to, because
that was when my first victim got away.
my real estate agent said, "Hey, sidebar, are you okay with the windows?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" Like, well, they're original and they're storm windows, and when the winds blow out there, like these things like rattle the house. So the previous owner nailed them shut, and it's just they don't. But the windows and window frames themselves are original from 1952.
Okay.
So there's just not a lot going on there. So
Okay.
we don't.
My
use
version
them.
was way more believable than that.
All I'm taking from this is that maybe, Misery was based on a true story.
That's right.
I mean, yeah, my wife did say
she finished the book.
She's going to try to be like Anti-Misery, where she gets to be healed and out of the bed, so she doesn't have to take care of me anymore.
No, see, but you were Kathy Bates in this scenario.
Yeah.
Not the author.
He missed that part.
Yeah.
He missed that part. He missed that part.
No, I was just saying my wife.
There's no sign of that author anymore.
No. He gone. He gone. Hey, they found a dead body over at St. John's.
All right. Stop with this
professional radio segue.
In related news.
Whew.
All right.
Good luck.
We potentially have good news coming for the Oregon State Beavers next on The Fan.
We had to push it out. It wasn't.
just being named recently. We have reports out there that Matt Wells, former Utah State coach, will interview that by Ian Fitzsimmons from ESPN, who, side note, one of our boss, Jeff Baton Rouge.
Yes.
Ian Fitzsimmons is a P1 of Jeff Baton Rouge. He's a big fan.
Indeed.
He is a big fan. Jeff Baton Rouge hired him.
I would say he paired him with Herbie.
Herb Street on a radio show in Columbus, Ohio.
Turned out they did pretty well together.
Yeah, they did really well.
Huh.
They did a pretty good job. But Ian Fitzsimmons is reporting Matt Wells will be getting a shot at interviewing for that job. We do know that Paul Chryst, Trent Bray, according to several reports that are out there, have interviewed. And it does kind of seem like we are heading down the road of Trent Bray looking like it's going to be the guy. It's the guy that the players want, which that can go one of two ways, right? You got the guy that the players want. That could be it could be the Mario Cristobal situation, right? Where you get that guy in place and it is successful and things actually do go really well, or it could go a completely opposite direction.
Because Trent Bray's never been a head coach.
That's right. And he's a defense guy, but he's got coaching in his blood. His dad was a coach at Oregon State. He was a player at Oregon State. He loves that program. And you need somebody who cares about that program and is going to want to put into it. And I think that Paul Chryst is a guy that would understand that as well as a former offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach at Oregon State. I think people forget about that because of how long ago it was.
It's been a hot minute.
But Matt Wells is also a guy that did a really good job at Utah State, and I know that there's probably some PTSD from former Utah State coaches coming to take over Oregon State. Gary Anderson.
Go Beavers, how about that?
Go Beavers, how about that? But it does appear that a resolution is going to come soon. And you know what that tells me? That tells me that despite what some folks were saying, Scott Barnes has been preparing for this, right? And it's going to be quick moving. He had his list. He had his guys. And the quicker this thing gets done, the better off it's going to be. Some really good news that has come out of it is our very own Andrew Nemec of the Recruiting Show with Andrew Nemec.
Indeed.
You can hear her on 1080 The Fan. He got caught up with Damian Martinez. And Damian Martinez told him he's staying at Oregon State.
Look, good for him. I'm not going to tell a kid what to do, what not to do. I'm surprised that he's going to do that.
Look, I am not, when you heard his quotes last week, knowing
the loyalty part of it,
knowing what we know now, that this buzz, everybody in the damn building knew. And his problem with Jonathan Smith was about a month ago. Jonathan Smith apparently told him he wasn't going anywhere. And so that's why he's retweeting, like, the folks that said, Jonathan Smith's a snake and this is what Damian Martinez was talking about. That's why he's retweeting that, is because he felt wronged by Jonathan Smith. And so him coming back is huge. And it doesn't surprise me in this regard. When he said why he wants to come back to Oregon State is because there's a level of anonymity at Oregon State that you can still have in being the star running back.
Sure.
And that's important. I think that, you go to, if he were to just sit there and he would have his choice, he could pick the best offensive line returning in the country next year
and go run behind it.
Call a head coach and be like, hey, I want to come and play for you.
And they would take him.
They would say, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't care. Yes.
Yes.
He would have his pick of any school he wanted to go to next year. He is that damn good.
He's an NFL running back.
But he likes the fact that he can focus on his craft at Oregon State, and it will wholly be on his craft. And he knows that, he will be in good hands. He trusts that Scott Barnes is going to make a good hire. He's got one more year, and that 1 year is not going to make or break his draft stock.
No, he's going to be a dude no matter what.
So, Damian Martinez coming back is huge. He told Nemec, the fan base and the love of Oregon State. I also love Corvallis because the area is just quiet and it feels like me. So
good for him.
Absolutely. But here's the thing that I think is so important. You have a star player who loves that area, loves the school. The next head coach, whoever that is, whether it is Bray, Chryst, Wells,
whoever,
insert coach here, that guy needs to have a player like Damian Martinez to point to and say, this is the guy that we recruit.
Yeah.
This is the guy that works here. This is the guy that we need to find more of, right? Identification early in the recruiting process.
It's not entirely rare for that guy to exist, But it is hard, and it's getting harder in NIL to find that guy.
Yep.
But that's what makes schools like Oregon State successful, is that you have to find and identify that guy, and it's going to be interesting to see if Aiden Childs is that guy.
In recruiting, this is the hardest thing to do, though, is you find those guys and you get those guys on campus, right? And little by little, and this is what Jonathan Smith had that slow build up to, is that you start getting some of those guys in that connect with the area, they connect with the school, and they understand what Oregon State is. And then you say, all right, once we get them in now, how do we find those guys but are a little bit more talented? And you start building off that. And that's where you get the Damian Martinez's and the Aiden Childs, is off of the base of guys who are already in the building. And you can't let those guys leave in mass. And that's the fear at Oregon State, is that like the whole roster is just going to be like deuces.
Martinez staying might also have another effect.
Absolutely.
If he's staying.
Yep.
Well, then maybe I should stay.
Yep. And hopefully that's it.
And that's kind of a thing I think you could see. Now, again, the biggest question is Childs. Because he, like Martinez, is going to be able to have a pick of the litter as far as where he wants to go, if he decides he does want to go somewhere.
A little bit of other news, though, too, regarding the Beavs. And this one involves the Washington State Cougars as well. We'll get to that. Here's Big Kahuna. He's got Sports Center.
This is Pac-12 Championship Week with Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by Mods PDX. The future of building is here.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, Jonathan Smith officially introduced as Michigan State head coach earlier this morning. Back in Corvallis, rumors continue that Beavers defensive coordinator Trent Bray could be named head coach by the end of the day. But ESPN's Ian Fitzsimmons reporting Oregon State has or is planning to interview former Utah State head coach and two-time Mountain West Coach of the Year, Matt Wells. BeaverBlitz.com reporting they conducted at least 3 interviews yesterday. Yahoo Sports' Ross Dellinger reporting Oregon State, Washington State, and the Mountain West close to finalizing their scheduling agreement for the 2024 season. It's believed Mountain West teams will play 7 conference games plus Oregon State or Washington State, and there is an option to extend the deal to 2025. Oregon's Bo Nix is among the 3 finalists for the Walter Camp National Player of the Year. He's joined by LSU's Jaden Daniels and Washington's Michael Penix Jr. Those same 3 also the finalists for the Maxwell Award and the Davey O'Brien Award. Oregon's Troy Franklin not among the 3 finalists for the Blitnikoff Award, given to the nation's top receiver. The finalists are Ohio State's Marvin Harrison Jr., LSU's Malik Neighbors, and Washington's Rome Odunze. And in the NFL, the Vikings activating wide receiver Justin Jefferson from injured reserve. He has missed the last 7 games with a hamstring injury, and he'll play after this week's bye. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Russ at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Spirit Mountain Casino brings you big games on big screens with big-time sports betting action. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
One number does it all for contests and text in your favorite fan shows. The Vancouver Ford text line is 503-864-6FAN.
At Lowe's.
a fan.
It happens. Sucks, but it does happen.
Well, and the hardest part is like when you don't want to hear the honesty, you just want to vent. And sometimes you get that honesty that, Michigan State does a better job. There's more money and all that stuff. But the good news coming out of it today is that, sun comes up. And now you're starting to see there is a direction, and the world isn't completely crumbling, although you're just building a new house.
Yeah.
The tornado came ripping through, and now it's time to start rebuilding, right? And whether that is, the new head coach hire going to be done in short order and could be announced as early as today, according to some of the reports that are out there. Damian Martinez telling Andrew Nemec that, hey, I'm staying. I'm not going anywhere. That's good news. And then today you start seeing the news of the Mountain West merger or scheduling partnership. I won't say merger.
Not yet.
Yeah, the Mountain West scheduling partnership with Oregon State and Washington State is close to being finalized, and this is what it's going to look like. So for next year, with an option for this to happen again in 2025, the Beavs and the Cougs will pay $14 million. I believe that is not a piece. I think that is together, according to kind of the way that Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports is framing it and putting it out there. That for $14 million, this is how it'll look. Every Mountain West school will play 7 conference games and then a +1 format, where if you play 7 conference games, then you play either Oregon State or Washington State, one of those two. Then Oregon State and Washington State, although they are playing that hybrid schedule, they are not part of the Mountain West as it pertains to the conference championship game. So if the Beavs and the Cougs both go undefeated against that Mountain West hybrid schedule, they will not be playing in the Mountain West championship game. Them's the breaks. You and the Pac-2, y'all can play each other at the end of the year and get that thing out of the way, and you could be Pac-2 champion.
There you go, Pac-2 champion.
You can go ahead and do that. So basically, what you're looking at is you're going to be playing a Mountain West schedule, for lack of a better term. The home games against Oregon State and Washington State will be on Mountain West TV. So you're looking at FS1, CBS Sports Network, those types of networks that you're going to be on. And they are going to keep the additional media rights that come with any of those games that happen. But the fact of the matter is that the biggest hurdle for the Cougs and the Beavs as it pertains to football is going to be resolved in short order. And that is huge when you're talking about the portal, when you're talking about recruiting, is when you have that signing day mid-December, there's no longer going to be that fear of, well, who are you guys even playing? What are you guys even doing here?
Yeah.
You have some finality to that. Is it what you want? No, it's not the most beautiful thing in the world, but at the same time, it gives you a direction at least for 1 year, and then the option to do it in 2025 as well. And
you're not entirely homeless in this entire endeavor.
That's right. And look, if you go undefeated, either one of these teams, because of the way that the playoff is going to be set up, at least for the next 2 seasons, because the college football playoff won't be ratified and fixed and for another 2 seasons, is that you're still going to have an opportunity to have a seat at the table. You won't get some automatic qualifier, but
you can get spicy.
If you are the highest ranked team, you'll still be able, from a non-power conference, you still have that opportunity, or highest ranked, 6 conference champions will have that opportunity. You'll be able to earn a seat at the table. That's all you can ask for, right?
And which in reality, if they didn't have this, they wouldn't even have that opportunity. So, and not only that, trying to piece together a truly independent schedule this late in the process.
Yeah.
I mean, good God. How do you even do that?
It's impossible.
Yeah.
It's impossible because of the archaic way that schedules are made.
10 years out.
It needs to stop.
Yes.
And I think that, the one thing that would be fair to every university at this point is to have every conference across college football just say, hey, and maybe not in 2024, maybe you look at it right now for the 2025 season, you say, anything that we have on the books,
it's gone
from 2025 and out. Let's restart the way that we do our non-conference scheduling.
Yeah.
Let's make it so it makes sense to us. Let's do what, basketball does.
But everyone else does?
And you don't even have to go the route of basketball, which finalizes their schedules like literally a couple of months in advance, but a year in advance.
With significantly more games.
Not 10 years down the road going, well, I hope Texas Tech is good.
Sure.
When we go down to Lubbock and we play them in a decade. Instead of doing something like that, you go, no. Next year, we know where we are. We know where you are. Let's go and make a game that makes sense for us. Because the worst thing that can happen for an individual team, or how many times have we seen this with a conference as a whole, right? You have these middle-of-the-road teams that they schedule a game a decade in advance and they're really good. Well, when that game finally comes up, Cal goes to Tennessee and they're not good and they get waxed. And everybody's like, see, the Pac-12 sucks. And you're going, well, no, the Pac-12 doesn't suck. It's just Cal sucks now.
Yeah. They were good 10 years ago.
Yeah, but it doesn't make sense to us.
No.
So give games that fans can get excited about, games that matter,
And it also shows
and we can schedule them a year in advance.
who's going to run from the grind.
Yeah, absolutely it does. 100%.
Then you can really start rewarding teams when you talk about, well, they're playing so-and-so early in their schedule.
Yeah.
It's like, they didn't know that when they made that deal 10 years ago?
Yeah, and you can have Oregon State call it Michigan State and say, you took him, let's play.
Yeah.
Let's play.
Play for a coach?
No.
No?
You can keep him.
Oh.
We don't want him anymore.
We're trying to embarrass you.
This is play. And as a texter on the Vancouver Ford text line, 503-864-6326 points out, it's not all rosy for Michigan State either. Their quarterback of the future, Sam Leavitt, a West Lynn product, he has declared his intentions to enter the transfer portal because he said he felt disrespected by Jonathan Smith in the recruiting process because he was an in-state guy that didn't get an offer from the Beavs.
It looks like he would be one of 3 quarterbacks entering the transfer portal.
From Michigan State. Clearing room for Aiden Chiles.
And a receiver.
And a receiver.
Entering the portal.
Entering the portal.
At least one.
I mean, this is what...
This is normal.
Yeah, they're not very good at Michigan State. No. So you, as a coach, sometimes you get that addition by subtraction. But Leavitt is a pretty good one. But obviously there was something that Jonathan Smith, whether it was he felt so comfortable with his quarterback room, and look, these things happen all the time, right? Like I had a Brink on one time when we talked about like why Washington State. He's a kid from Eugene, right? Well, Oregon, and I remember that was the same thing that happened with Ainge too. Like Oregon was their quarterback room they felt was set. And so
you're not recruiting a quarterback.
2 really good quarterbacks here from the state of Oregon at the time in the early 2000s. They ended up going to Washington State for Brink and Tennessee for Ainge. And look, that was just the way it was. And their quarterback rooms were pretty good.
Those 2 are probably 2 of the highest ranked quarterbacks they've had historically here.
Coming out of the state of Oregon?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Ainge was.
I know it. Yeah, for sure.
He was one of those guys that...
He was nationally ranked.
He was a dude. Well, yeah. I remember Phil Fulmer coming and like watching him throw in the spring and being like, that's different.
Yeah. Also, quarterback, Ainge is what, 6'7"?
Nah, 6'6". Don't give him that extra inch. He doesn't need that for his ego. All right? Yeah, clip that and send it to him. Make sure you clip that and email that one to me, Rust. I need to send that to him. But he was really damn good. But like that, sometimes that's the way that it goes, right? Yeah. And look, if
there's 2 schools in the state.
Well, and if you're Oregon State, you're sitting there going, we have Aiden Chiles. I mean, we're gonna be
literally everyone in the program has been talking about like, no, this dude's
we're gonna be okay.
He's gonna be really good. So we're going that way.
Yeah. And look, you can extrapolate what you will from anybody and what they're saying on social media. I think in the next week or so, we're gonna find out kind of where everybody's going to be. And it won't be by December 4th. Like, I think on December 4th, if you're an Oregon State fan, you're going to see a lot of names go into the portal from your roster. That should be expected.
Yes.
And it will be a new world because one thing that Jonathan Smith and his staff did a really good job of is keeping guys out of that portal.
They weren't, bringing a ton of guys in, but you didn't see guys leaving.
Yep. And so
Spates is obviously the biggest guy that has left.
Yeah. And that was a big hit for them.
Yes.
That was a massive hit for them. But you're going to see a lot more names going because, look, guys, they may go and play for Oregon State and they may commit to Oregon State. They commit to coaching staffs, and that's the truth. If Trent Bray is the guy, I think
You might
will
save
see
some guys.
fewer names enter the portal. It will happen.
But if it's out of house, then you're probably going to see significantly more.
But you're going to be active on bringing those guys in, too.
Yep.
More active than you were. It won't be spots. It's going to be overhauls.
Hey, tell you what, Colorado's got 3 quarterbacks in the portal, too. So there you go.
Have you seen what's going on in Colorado right now?
It's a mass exodus.
Yeah. You know, I that's what we're talking about a little bit. Because Dion came in guns a-blazing.
And he may have stepped in it with some late season mismanagement as far as demoting his offensive coordinator.
And
throwing
guys
him under the bus.
Well, guys throwing each other under the bus.
Yeah.
Publicly, players on the team.
Whoops.
And now you've had 2 of their prized quarterback recruits have decommitted.
Mm-hmm.
You got guys sitting there and saying, we don't know if Dion's going to be around, when I show up on campus in 2025. And they're having some big issues on the recruiting trail right now because they're not landing the linemen. They're not making the improvements where they need to on the recruiting trail, not gaining ground. And it's turning into a thing where is it time to reassess that Louis that he brought with him? Whoa.
Got to go to China and get the fake.
I think that's what they did. I think that's what they did.
They get 2 or 3 pieces of real.
Yeah, they do.
The rest is counterfeit.
Somebody's gonna walk up to that roster with the
diamond detector.
The diamond detector,
Yeah.
and they're just gonna be like, no, not real.
Nope, not real.
Not real.
Yikes.
Not real there. 503-864-6326. That is the Vancouver Ford text line. Folks saying, hey, Aiden Child's social media posts would make you think he's probably not following Smith. I agree. And
Doesn't mean he's staying, though. That's the other thing.
No, you don't look into the social media posts either right now because a lot of feelings happen.
Yeah.
And you put things out on social media all the time that guys are like, didn't really mean that. No. Oopsies, takebacks. But it would lead you to believe that Martinez is back, and he told Andrew Nemec as such. It's a really good sign if you are able to keep on Aiden Childs on campus.
That'd be massive for them.
Yeah. All right. 503-864-6326. This is Danny and Dusty on the Fan. We've got Michigan taking on Iowa. Okay. Michigan is 23.5-point favorites in this game. 23.5.
That feels too big just because I genuinely have respect for Iowa's defense.
The over-under is at 35.5.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. 80% of the money is coming in on Michigan right now to cover the spread, and the under, 60% of the money that's being bet is on the under right now.
24-10.
Okay. Do you know, according to DraftKings, here is, and we don't have these lines on ours, but we've got, I saw this from a man named Jared on Twitter.
Always reliable, Jared's.
Well, he has a screenshot of his DraftKings app that has the team totals for the first half of the Big Ten championship game.
Mm-hmm.
The Michigan team points total for the first half, 16.5 for Michigan.
Okay. Iowa's 2.5.
You are far too generous. There is even money that you can get on Iowa over 0.5.
So it's just scoring.
It's a half point. A half a point.
You're kidding.
It is the Iowa over-under first half for the Big Ten championship game.
I think the second half is also 0.5.
It is 0.5 as well. I think that them losing 31-0 to Penn State earlier in the year is a big indicator that this offense ain't going to score against a good defense.
So Michigan is allowed more than 14 3 times this season.
Ain't going to happen this week.
Penn State, Maryland, and Ohio State.
No.
And they've allowed 15, 24, 24.
Yeah. This isn't going to happen. Like, they're not going to score, but it is how many, basically what it comes down to is how many points do you think Michigan is going to score on Iowa's defense?
I think 24 is the number.
So you think like 24-0?
Yeah, Iowa's defense is really good.
Also, I have to put this into consideration as well, that Michigan knows when you're in.
So just run the ball and win and get out of there healthy.
Fourth quarter, if they are up by 10,
just tick, 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 tick.
You don't have to do anything.
No.
You don't have to do anything. But knowing this Michigan team and Team 144 and kind of the message that they've been saying, they're going to try to score as many points as they can in that first half, and they're going to try to run it up.
And then sit the second half.
Yeah, because guess who's back? 3-game suspension's up. Here comes Captain Comeback, Jim Harbaugh. They're going to do it for Harbs.
America.
Even if it wasn't, wouldn't he still be allowed because it's college football playoff and not Big Ten football?
No, if he just had a suspension for the rest of the year, it would be. But it was 3 games, and he accepted 3 games.
Okay.
So those 3 games are up, and now he can return to the sidelines and get back to action. That offensive lineman that got hurt, or what's his name?
Zach Zinner.
Zinner.
Yeah,
I thought it was really cool that Harbaugh went straight to the hospital.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
he went straight to the hospital, and he was there with him, and like Harbaugh is, for all of his weird quirks and being a red ass and being a weirdo, we can call it what it is. He is a bit of a weirdo, but at the same time, that guy cares about his players, and his players care a whole hell of a lot about him. And so I think that was a really cool thing, because I know how much he was just locked to that TV, and he did not want to leave that TV that he was watching that game on for anything. He saw that player go down, and he went straight to the hospital. I think that's awesome. I think that is
the injury.
Really cool.
We do have clarification on it.
Yeah.
Tib fib.
I saw he went and he got the surgery like almost immediately.
Yeah, which
I
means
saw his
it
picture
was
afterwards.
Bad.
But that was really cool by Harbaugh.
Yeah, no, I mean, look,
they're going to run it up.
Harbaugh's a weird ass dude, but he cares about his dudes, especially his dudes. And I mean, when you're talking about coaches, who do they care about most outside of quarterbacks? They're big old hog mollies.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
That's what he cares about the most.
Yeah. I mean,
100%.
Yeah. Those guys through and through is as much as you can talk, about his milk drinking weirdness.
There's a lot of it to talk about.
There's a lot about it to go into. You can't question how much he loves his guys.
Yeah. All right. Hour number 1 is in the books. Hour number 2, we've got our worst day on the web, which is sometimes less is more from ownership.
Lots of that.
Holy guacamole. But where we got to start is we haven't even gotten to Monday Night Football.
We haven't gotten to any NFL.
Speaking of bad football.
Oh, my God.
Iowa was impressed with that offensive
Yeah.
explosion in Monday night last night. And our boy Josh Dobbs. Yeah.
Pastronaut came back down to earth.
Yes, he did. We'll get to that. Hour number 2 starts. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. Beaver Blitz had also a little bit of a rundown on what that schedule is going to look like, because they already did have Purdue and Idaho State for your non-conference that you can add in there. So you have 3 home, 3 away against Mountain West teams, Idaho State, Washington State, Purdue. That puts you up to 9 games right now, and then hopefully you'll get some more Power Fives that are in there. And the Beaver Blitz is saying Utah, Cal, Notre Dame, Texas Tech, and Oregon are all still kind of rumored to be. Oregon's going to be a tough one because they have to buy out somebody in that schedule. Hawaii appears to be one that you would, but then you have to dump another one.
Yeah.
Because they have 13 game scheduled, because that game was at Hawaii. You can add that 13th game. So there's going to be a lot that we need to get to in figuring that whole thing out. And then it looks like they're zeroing in on Trent Bray as the next head coach, or Paul Chryst, possibly Matt Wells. They're narrowing this thing down, and they're going to act quickly, and that's good for the program. It's good for where they're going to go. Then you got to look at the portal and see what happens next. But guys are going to be entering that portal, and you're going to be getting some guys out of the portal as well. So if you missed any of that, check it out on the Service Patriots podcast at 1080thefan.com or in the Odyssey app. Service Patriots is your home comfort solution for all your heating and air conditioning needs. Check out the latest offers for our listeners at servicepatriots.com/thefan. All right, let's talk about that Monday Night Football disaster last night.
Good God.
That was Iowa football. It was actually the exact same score of the Iowa and Minnesota game. 12-10. We had 4 field goals winning a game for the Chicago Bears. 5 field goals total, only 1 touchdown scored in the entire game. And it was in the fourth quarter, and you sat there and you thought, is Josh Dobbs really going to pull out of this thing, despite the fact that he came crashing back down to earth? And he went 22 of 32, 185 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions.
In a game that featured 4 interceptions.
It should have been more.
And 5 fumbles.
It was atrocious.
I mean, just god-awful football on every level.
Yeah. That's what you get for putting NFC North football on Monday night. What did they think that they were going to do, though? Like, did they think that at the beginning of the year, like, yeah, this is going to be good? We knew it wouldn't have been great, even if
Kirk Cousins and Justice Jefferson were healthy. This is an ugly game.
Well, it would have been a rout.
Yeah.
And even if it was an improved Bears team this year that we were all expecting.
They're so bad.
They are not good at all. And look, it looks like they've lost all that confidence in Justin Fields.
Well, Justin Fields has lost all his confidence in Justin Fields.
DJ Moore is the only guy that he was throwing the ball to. He throws for like 217 yards, and DJ Moore had 114 of them. Yeah. And 2 of his catches were on scramble plays where Justin Fields was just looking down the field trying to find number 2 and locking on to him. Fields is not it. We know he's not it. The good thing they have the Carolina Panthers pick in the first round because of that stupidity to trade up to get Bryce Young.
They're going to end up getting the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
And which quarterback they take, whether it's May or Williams, is going to be interesting.
What's going to be hilarious, though, is if that win last night, where they get their field goal with, 10 seconds remaining.
Keeps them away from
Keeps them out of the top 5. and they have to settle for another weapon for Caleb Williams.
When they could easily just tank the bleeping season and get Marvin to pair with their quarterback.
I think they're trying to, but Josh Dobbs had his other feelers out there, and that was to keep that game as close as he possibly could.
Which was really weird. I thought Minnesota. I don't want to give the Bears really any credit here because I think it was mostly Minnesota, because what they had done with Dobbs early on was get him outside the pocket endlessly. They're running him out, bootleg, play action, everything they could to basically get him outside the pocket to make decisions. And yes, you're taking away a side of the field, blah, blah, blah. You're simplifying reads, but also it's like, yeah, you're taking advantage of his athleticism and his decision-making and making things simple for him. And instead they try to keep him in the pocket and make him more traditional as opposed to what they had done with him the past 3 weeks.
Because you have to. And this is what the NFL does, is you cannot play one-handed in the NFL.
Sure.
You have got to be able to throw from the pocket, because we saw this with Baker Mayfield's early success in Cleveland, right? Remember, Baker Mayfield came in and he played really well.
And then
teams realized that Baker Mayfield always spun out to the left side of his offensive line. And so what teams did, and defenses are so good and they're so fast, is they'll bait you into that and take it away.
And take away the flow.
And you can't, like, you could get away with it with Minnesota at the very beginning because of the fact that he didn't know the playbook very well, and you just did what was easy. The book gets out on you, and you will come back down to earth. Everybody does.
Sure.
You cannot stay the same. And where Josh Dobbs had a success in Arizona was essentially doing the same thing early, with just a different scheme around him in different players in a different uniform. But they did the exact same thing, and he looked really good at the beginning, and then all of a sudden his numbers started coming back down. And I think that's what kind of makes Justin Fields a little bit impressive in his wildly unimpressiveness, is that he still finds a way, knowing that he's one-handed as a quarterback because he's so damn athletic. Yeah. I mean, it's not good quarterbacking by any stretch of the imagination, but his athleticism at least buys him a little bit more time, and he can run the ball effectively.
Can't hold on to it, though.
No, he can't. And that is a massive issue that we saw last night. He's running with the ball out in front of him, away from his body, knowing that contact is coming, and he ends up coughing up that fumble. It's like, goodness gracious, man. How many times are we going to have this happen?
How many points of contact are you going to put on that damn thing?
But with Josh Dobbs in Minnesota, especially when you do not have Justin Jefferson to keep a defense honest and attract another set of eyes, look, you are going to be completely limited because he doesn't know the playbook still, and there's no way he can.
No.
So now you take all of the easy stuff that you had, and now you're just playing catch up over these next couple weeks as the book comes out.
Here's more and more and more.
They played 100% to his strengths at the beginning. And now you sit there and you go, all right, teams have adjusted to that. Now what do we take away?
Even with that said, I still thought they strayed away from that so much. It was I know what the Bears were trying to take away, but also at the same time, I think they only ran 3 designed play action rollouts for him the entire game. I'm just sitting there going, I get that the book is out. I know what the Bears are trying to take away, but 3? You got to find a happy medium there of getting your guys something.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. There's always those plays that you wish you could go back to, but again, there's times when you're just sitting up there and Kevin O'Connell sitting there going, all right, at some point we have to play normal football.
Sure.
And that's where you have a confidence that he does have a grasp of some things. He's just wildly uncomfortable without having that game-breaking wide receiver across from Jordan Addison. And there was that one throw, man, where Addison gave that double move and he threw it out of bounds.
Took a guy's hamstring out.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
and
if he brings that ball in a yard in bounds, he walks into the end zone.
Or Jordan Addison just has more awareness of where he is on the field.
I still think
he
it was
falls
a tough
out of
catch.
bounds but you got to have that awareness of where you are on the field, and he lost it.
Yeah.
And you just stay in bounds and you just fall out of bounds. That's still a huge play. But if it's a better throw, it's a walk-in touchdown.
It's a walk-in touchdown because he absolutely breaks the corner.
Boy, that was just hideous.
Yeah.
In every sense. And I cannot believe that on that final drive, they did not call intentional grounding on Fields.
Look, man, officiating across the NFL and the NBA for the past 4 days has made me want to tear my hair out.
It was just one of those plays where you went,
how?
Make that one make sense.
I got nothing.
I don't know if they thought he got out of the pocket and then went back in. I have no idea what they were seeing on that, but that was grounding, and that hamstrings everything the Chicago Bears do. If you get behind the sticks.
Yes.
And I thought 100% they were going to be behind the sticks, but no.
And here we go.
Game-winning field goal. Cairo Santos, MVP.
I got nothing, man.
How about the cut up to Ryan Poles, who's in the press box, and it looked like he was just rolling his hands over, going, they're running the same thing over and over and over again. That's all you have.
Yeah.
That Bears offense is Iowa-esque. It was brutal.
Look,
dude.
I get the whole, he doesn't have a ton of weapons. The Bears are inept. The franchise is dumb. I'm not going to disagree with that.
Yeah.
But also, I have seen literally nothing from Justin Fields that makes me go, yeah, no, it's Chicago's fault. No. They're both not good. They're both not good. The Bears should absolutely get whatever they can get for him. If they can get anything better than a 4th-round pick for Justin Fields, take it and run.
They're not getting. Why would what?
Take it and run.
Or are we thinking that they're going to get something better than a 4th-round pick?
I mean, what Lance got a 5th.
Yeah. Yes.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you get a 4th-round pick or better, take it and run.
I think
take it and run.
I think we're there.
Yeah.
I think you're going to get a 5th to a 7th-round pick.
You think it's that bad?
Yeah.
Fields is better than Lance.
Who are you gonna?
Atlanta.
What team? Atlanta.
They're dumb enough.
I don't think they're that
enough.
dumb.
They are.
Everybody's calling them dumb enough to do it, and the team that gets called dumb enough to do it will see all that and be like,
"We can't.
Yeah, we can't do that." You know that?
Yeah. I mean, they do.
Like, you can fix stupid, but you can't fix that stupid.
The public perception of stupid. Yeah.
You can't do that. No, that's brutal. That's brutal. Hey, let's stick in the NFL because we had a couple milestones happen over the weekend, and well, Nelly, feels good to have a little offense back. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. if you are an Oregon State fan, this has been tumultuous times in a rocky road, and it has been uncomfortable for you. Today is as good of a day as you could have on the heels of all of the S-storm that has happened, right? Scott Barnes was quick. From everything that I have heard and people that I've talked to, the interviews, they are done, right? They did 3 quick ones. And now Ian Fitzsimmons of ESPN was saying that Matt Wells was the guy who's the former Utah State guy was going to be getting an interview. You've also heard, I've seen almost everywhere, and it makes sense that San Jose State coach Brent Brennan would be a guy that would be getting an interview because of what he's been able to do at San Jose State and the fact that he's formerly the wide receivers coach at Oregon State and did a really dang good job there and was a really good recruiter at that position for the Beavers and coached some pretty good receivers, Brandon Cooks, Marcus Wheaton.
It's a pretty decent list.
Yeah, I think that I think he was there with James Rogers too, on the back end of James. And so you had guys that had familiarity. I saw his name had popped up on a few of those watch lists. But to act quickly and go down this road where you are getting so much player support, for Trent Bray, I think that is, to be quick and decisive, that is great news for Beavs fans. I understand that if you feel the world is still crashing in around you as an Oregon State fan because of the uncertainty of a conference's future, but then also today, we're less than a week before the portal opens up, and we're only a few weeks away from the early signing period starting. The fact that you have some sort of resolution that seems to be very close to what your schedule is going to look like. 3 home, 3 away Mountain West games. You've got Purdue and Washington State. You've got Idaho State on there, and then there's a laundry list of teams that are rumored to be in your non-conference schedule from Power 5 programs, from either schools that have left the Pac-12 and are going to either the Big 12 or the ACC, or some independents that are out there. And heck, there's still even the hope that you get that Civil War on the schedule, be it early in the year.
Somehow, some way.
That's, for as bad as news has been as of late, this is the best news that you could have asked for if you're an Oregon State fan, because you're not just spinning your tires in the mud, right? You're climbing out of it. And it's going to be a long road. I mean, that's the reality of it. It is. But
the big thing here, even from the immediacy of the program, is that by making Bray the guy, you have your best chance of heading off a mass exodus in the portal.
Yeah.
That's because you have to, this sounds terrible, but you have to worry about the immediacy program more than the future of the program right now, because if the immediacy isn't taken care of, the future is gone.
Yeah.
They can't afford to lose guys. Daniel Martinez sounds like he's going to stay. You have to do whatever you can to keep Aiden Childs.
Yeah, and it looks, take social media. It doesn't look like he's following Jonathan Smith, but out. I don't know. I don't know what that looks like.
Yeah.
And what does your offensive staff look like? Because that's going to be a really important piece, is what does the offensive staff that Trent Bray is going to build around Damian Martinez, who told our Andrew Nemec of the recruiting show with Andrew Nemec that he is going to stay. He says you get him and then you get Childs, you have the focal point. And then look, DJ could come back again. He could come. He could. He said he was going to leave that up to, the powers that be. And that was an interesting comment coming out of the Civil War. And I think we know
basically,
now.
Do you want me back?
Well, we knew now he knew what everybody else found out, for certain a day later, in that Jonathan Smith was as good as gone heading into that game. And so there's a lot that needed to be determined in that regard. But, he could bounce and go somewhere else as well.
Coach left, he can go.
Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen moving forward, but this is for that stability in a world of uncertainty. Like I said earlier, right? The tornado came through and it ripped your house down. Now you got to rebuild it, right? Yeah, and now
Bray at least gives you at least a piece of the foundation.
That's right. That's right.
Maybe not all of it.
That defensive side of the ball is a big piece of that foundation.
It is, but
this
culturally it also matters too.
Yeah, and this is the big question though: is when you have a defensive-minded head coach, everybody is offense. If you get a super bright offensive mind in, what is going to happen is ultimately the next team that has a head coaching vacancy is going to come and try to hire him away. That's just the nature of the business. So you have to get a bright offensive mind in, but how do you keep him around, and how do you make that pool of money bigger to keep those assistant coaches around? And that's the uphill climb of sustaining Oregon State.
That's why the immediacy matters, is because
Yes,
you need to have that foundation. You need to have something that you can build off of. You need to head off as many of the transfers as you can, keep as many guys in house, so that you're not spinning your wheels trying to recoup everything that you've lost long before you worry about the future and going out and securing your longtime OC, or if somebody comes in and they're successful and they leave and bringing in somebody else. Like, those things are so far down the road of trying to figure things out if you don't have something solid to build on over the next 24 months.
So, according to Kerry Eggers, Trent Bray will be announced later today as Beavers football head coach. That should be music to the ears of Bee fans, even though, we kind of saw this was coming. We started hearing that yesterday, that Trent Bray was the front runner for it. And it does appear that an announcement is imminent that Trent Bray will be the next head coach of the Oregon State Beavers. Breaking news on the Fan is presented by BetQL. Smarter bets start with BetQL. Download the BetQL app or visit betql.com today. All right. Here we go.
Love a little breaking news during the show. It's fun.
Yeah, that's right. It is fun.
Oh, you know what's not fun? Getting a vote of confidence from your owner in your rookie season.
Oh, boy.
David Tepper and the Carolina Panthers are just stepping into it endlessly. We'll get to that and more on our Worst Day on the Web. But first, here's the Big Kahuna with Sports Center Update.
That's that Hawaiian burger joint.
This is Pac-12 Championship Week with Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by Mods PDX. The future of building is here.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
If you've been arrested for DUI, you need a team of attorneys that you can put your trust into. Call Reynolds Defense Firm today, online at reynoldsdefensefirm.com. First on The Fan, just a few hours after Jonathan Smith officially introduced as Michigan State head coach this morning, Kerry Eggers now reporting Beavers defensive coordinator Trent Bray will be announced as head coach later today. Former Utah State head coach and two-time Mountain West Coach of the Year Matt Wells was also reportedly a candidate. Yahoo Sports' Ross Dellinger reporting Oregon State, Washington State, and the Mountain West are close to finalizing their scheduling agreement for the 2024 season. It's believed Mountain West teams will play 7 conference games plus Oregon State or Washington State, and there is an option to extend the deal to 2025. Oregon's Bo Nix among the 3 finalists for the Walter Camp National Player of the Year award. He's joined by LSU's Jaden Daniels and Washington's Michael Penix Jr. Those same 3 also the finalists for both the Maxwell Award and the Davey O'Brien Award. Oregon's Troy Franklin, though, not among the 3 finalists for the Blitnikoff Award given to the nation's top receiver. The finalists are Ohio State's Marvin Harrison Jr., LSU's Malik Neighbors, and Washington's Rome Odunze. In the NFL, the Vikings activating wide receiver Justin Jefferson from injured reserve. Jefferson missed 7 games with a hamstring injury. He'll play after this week's bye. Colts running back Jonathan Taylor will have surgery to repair an injured thumb, and the team hopes he'll be back in 2 to 3 weeks. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Spirit Mountain Casino brings you big games on big screens with big-time sports betting action. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
The original home of the Herd with Colin Cowherd. Weekdays 9 to noon, 1080 The Fan.
Sponsored by TriMet.org/save. Allied Universal has immediate openings for transit security officers throughout the metro area. Jobs start at more than $27 an hour with great benefits. Learn more at TriMet.org/save.
Time is money. At Leifs, we understand that accidents happen when you least expect it. Leifs has a special fast-track repair program for those who need it fixed fast. Call us for details and restrictions. Now, if you're in an accident, call us before you contact your insurer. Let our experts set up your collision claim to
with Danny and Dusty on Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
That sucks.
I don't need to tell you that the Carolina Panthers suck a lot. They're very bad. There's nothing redemptive that they do on a football field right now. I'm struggling. Brian Burns?
No. Not anymore.
Yeah, I mean, they're bad. They're bad in ways that it's 0-16 Lions bad.
But they got that win, which shows you how impressive the 0-16 Lions were. I mean, honestly, it is really hard to go undefeated in the NFL.
Yeah.
It's even harder to go defeated in the NFL. Like, you'll stumble your way into one.
But the Panthers tried. They have tried, and they have tried, and they have tried. And I think the big part of that is due to new ownership. David Tepper bought the franchise, 2.5 years ago now?
No, I think it was longer than that.
Has it been that long now?
I think David Tepper maybe took control in 2018.
God, has it been that long?
I want to say he bought the Panthers in 2018.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Oh, COVID just screwed all my time up from 2017 on. That's all 2 years.
Yeah, in May of 2018.
There you go. Okay. So in 5 years, he's basically managed to churn and burn and destroy that franchise. And let's act like it was this illustrious franchise, but they were coming off Cam Newton and the MVP seasons, Super Bowl appearance. Like, they weren't in the doldrums by any shape, matter, or form.
No.
He has managed to take this thing down to the studs.
No, and it's been in more than just with your head coaches too, because of the roster turnover that they had. Christian McCaffrey. Yeah. I mean, getting rid of Christian McCaffrey,
the
Ron
identity
Rivera,
of your
Cam
franchise.
Newton, like, you hit a hard reset. And then also, we forget, they were building a brand new massive, like, Taj Mahal practice facility.
Yes.
They had legal issues abound with that as well. It has been almost at every turn, there's been a disaster.
And this is one of the richest, or if not the richest owner in the NFL right now, correct?
Yes.
He has tell God to go to hell kind of money. That has not been able to save him from his own ineptitude and meddling. This is trying to think of this is Jerry Jones without the success.
So Jerry Jones now.
Well, yeah, but they still find a way to be
No, I'm kidding.
Mostly relevant.
Yeah.
They're just enough relevant to make fun of. But this is the painful kind of negligence.
Well, especially because if you look at it, since he took over, right, in 2018, they have had 5 head coaches: Ron Rivera, Perry Fewell, Matt Rule, Steve Wilkes, Frank Reich, and now Chris Tabor. So 6.
6 coaches in 5 years.
Before he took over, they had Dom Capers, George Seifert, John Fox, Ron Rivera.
And all those guys were long tenured. That's from 94?
95.
95, yeah.
95 through 2019, they had 4 coaches.
25 years, 4 coaches.
And now
5 years, 6 coaches.
And you just look at it since 2020. 2020, they hired Matt Rule, fired him. Steve Wilkes was a one and done. Frank Reich, a one and done. And now Chris Tabor. In the last, 3 years, you've had 4 coaches. I mean, you're on your 3rd in the last 14 months.
He was asked about what he would like to see from his next coach. He said that he would like to see a coach be there for 30 years. He wants a coach to be there and give the eulogy in his funeral. And then he said, well, maybe 40 years. Buddy, you can't get more than 40 months out of a coach.
No.
This is one of the most meddlesome owners in the NFL. And to make things worse, he said maybe the dumbest thing I've ever heard an owner do about a draft pick and your franchise player.
Now, it's been reported, and we talked about it. Originally, we were going to go to the number 2 pick, and we thought we would get CJ because we thought the Texans were going to pick Bryce. And listen, we preferred Bryce. He was our number 1 pick. We had a lot of conviction. But in answer to your questions, it's just not the way the process was done. The process was done the way the process was done. And again, even though if there was a process with 5 people in the room and the way the votes came in, Frank was the first choice. I always could veto that choice. And even if it was Bryce and the votes came in unanimously in this particular case, I could have vetoed that choice. In both cases, I supported both choices, okay? I'm just going to say that I supported both choices. I supported the coaches. I supported the scouts, their unanimous opinion, and I supported Frank Reich. So whatever's good, bad, or indifferent is ultimately because the buck stops here, and I take full responsibility for everything. But that's the way the process runs. And just one last thing, and then we're going to go here. As far as Bryce Young is concerned, I cannot say this, for myself, and I think everybody in this building would share this sentiment. We are totally confident in that pick. Okay, I think the people that made that pick first, would be totally confident in that. Some of them you could ask. Okay, and I think and for me, I'm totally confident in agreeing with that pick.
Okay, let's take apart the lies one by one.
Well, that was word salad right there.
Good God! Number one.
I understand why Frank Reich didn't like him.
Yeah. Okay, so there was headbutting between Reich and Tepper because Tepper basically made him report to the principal's office every week.
Every single week. Had a sit-down meeting with the owner.
Which is insane. That is insane. Absolutely bat-ass crazy. Number two, Reich is, by all measures, from everyone I've ever talked to, has said that he wanted Stroud from the jump. And Tepper and other people in the front office wanted Bryce Young.
Mm-hmm. We're going to find out. I mean, Frank Reich has nothing to lose anymore.
He's playing nice right now.
I know.
And
that's why I say we will find out very shortly what Frank Reich really thought, because the look on Frank Reich's face every Sunday told me he was not on board with that.
Bryce Young.
But
no.
Also, we have to kind of lay it all out there as well. With Frank Reich also had that look on his face because of the fact that they stripped that thing down to the point where they didn't have an offensive line. They don't have any weapons. No. Everything's gone, decimated. Yeah. Like, they didn't just send the number one pick for next year's draft to Chicago. They sent DJ Moore there as well. And we saw DJ Moore last night, even with Justin Fields.
11 catches, 114 yards.
He was the guy getting open, right? DJ Moore is a very good receiver. Yes. And so you don't have weapons, you don't have an offensive line, you don't have a run game. Like, they have nothing.
No.
They have nothing there. It's impossible for us to get a true judgment on Bryce Young because of everything that's going on. Everything that you just said about a meddling owner, a head coach that don't get along, and then a dysfunctional roster to boot. We don't know what Bryce Young is. What we're seeing, not good.
Yeah, and this
not good at all.
I know you and I differ on how we talk about quarterbacks. It's a little bit tongue in cheek, but typically, no matter what quarterback it is, whether it's Justin Fields or Justin Herbert, I had wrong coming out of college. I'll forever admit that was one of my biggest draft misses ever. I watched him in college and I just sat there and went, I don't get it. I don't. With a guy like Bryce Young or a Justin Fields, I just sat there and watched him and go, there's nothing here redemptive. And I know Bryce has only played a couple of games, and I know how dysfunctional the Panthers are, but they just went through on ESPN and showed the average yards per drop back. And the quarterbacks he was grouped up with, they're all first-round failures. And
yes.
When you see that, and I know surrounding talent, and everybody always wants to talk about, rookie quarterbacks, they aren't very good. Yes. I mean, we saw Trevor Lawrence with an abject disaster with Urban Meyer. But even in those instances, you saw Trevor Lawrence the shine. You're like, okay, I get it.
Yep.
And Bryce Young, I just haven't seen that once, and I think that they may have made a generational mistake. Because C.J. Stroud looks like he's going to be a top 10 quarterback for his entire career.
But, you also go back to guys need reps, guys need snaps.
100%.
Where you're ready to get that feel on Justin Fields because all of the things that you said we need to see Justin Fields with, he actually has gotten a lot of those. His offensive line still isn't very good, but he has more weapons, and it's just not there. But I also look at a guy like Jordan Love, where a lot of people were ready to sell on Jordan Love this year. In the month of November, Jordan Love was pretty damn good. Throughout the month of November, completed 66% of his passes, threw for over 1,000 yards. Like he had a good November, and I think it was 8 touchdowns, 2 interceptions this month. We need to see a larger sample size before like you just cast a guy off. But with Bryce Young, you're looking at there's problems that he has that won't be rectified, right? Like I don't know how he puts 40 pounds on.
Yeah. Or grows 3 inches.
You don't have to grow 3 inches. I mean, you can be short. That's fine. But you got to be able to take some hits. You got to be able to create on your own when pressure comes in the pocket. Like one of the things that Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray both are very short. Drew Brees was short, but you know what? They were thick enough to where a glancing blow wouldn't just blast them into oblivion.
Yeah, he just gets
step up,
he just goes down
into the pocket, and make a throw, right?
Even like a Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is built like a truck.
You have to have some lead in your pencil if you're going to be short, and he is short and slender.
I want to say he was like 195 pounds at the combine.
And that's wild to me because he doesn't look like he's 195 pounds because it just must be because everybody is so enormous around him. But there's a lot that is going against him, and Tepper trying to cover this right now is so weird.
It's so weird, and it hit him with a vote of confidence.
Yeah.
Well, if you ask around the building, I'm pretty sure, buddy, what are you doing?
Yeah. I think this is the thing with guys like David Tepper, who are billionaires. They're very successful in the business world, and you hear
they never get told no.
Well, you hear David Tepper say in the press conference today. He also said, in the business world, I'm very patient. Yeah, it's not the football world though.
No,
like in
there's
a
different levels
of business world, what you're doing. Yeah, you gave a guy a year and a half, and you didn't see results. So bye. That's not the reality in football because
different timelines.
You have different timelines. It's ever changing, and it isn't like a full year and a half. It is actually just a few months out of the year where you have that prove it ground, right? And it takes time, especially when you rip the franchise down to the studs. So
this is reminiscent of Oregon State.
Him not giving guy how so?
In the sense of if they had gone out of house. If it's not Bray, let's say they bring in another coach in, they'd have to reestablish a new form of culture and not have nothing really to build with kind of going forward. And with Carolina, they ripped everything out. They tore it down to the studs. They ripped the guts out of that thing. And that's why I think if you're looking at the
I see where you're going
at the position they're in, Oregon State's in a better position because they do have some culture, they do have some foundation, they do have something they can call on. Where the Panthers under Tepper,
well, they have good players too.
But I mean, you understand what I'm saying? Like, there's just nothing. There's not a single strand of look. What is Carolina Panthers football?
No, I don't know.
If I ask you what Steelers football is, what is it?
It is defense and discipline. Like that's Steelers. That's Stellars.
Hell, the other team that came in at the same time, the Jaguars. What are they?
Well, they've gone through it too, but
now
it's
what are
taken
they?
a lot of time and they hired a really good head coach. And for Frank Reich, I mean, this is one of those, you get run 2 years in a row.
I mean, he's done.
And he's a really good coordinator. He's a really smart guy and seems like he's very likable, except for David Tepper. Doesn't like him very much.
When everyone you run into in the day is an a-hole,
But Tepper has to say all of this because he knows they don't have an out this year.
No.
The Bears own their first round pick.
Unbelievable.
They've got so much ground that they need to make up. And you have to say that Bryce Young is the guy because if you don't, you're really screwed.
Yeah, we've talked about this off air. I think this might go down as Herschel Walker. Bad level of trade.
Yeah, they don't get it for very many years, but it's 2 firsts and they're very high.
Yeah. And one of them's going to be number 1 overall, and it might be another generational.
At least Herschel Walker, it gave them multiple starters for one of the great dynasties in football.
But I mean, you're talking about a team, two teams,
It's not
finding generational quarterbacks, and you may have found the bust.
See, and this is where, like, as a Blazer fan, you go, can that just happen to us one time?
Into that? Yeah.
Yeah, can we Bears this thing? And maybe that's what the Dame trade turns into? You got to keep your fingers crossed
Stumble
on that.
into it.
Yeah. We all got to hope that the Warriors don't figure it out.
Well, in the meantime, you know what we have to hold on to? LA teams getting the living crap kicked out of them on the same night.
It's always fun.
We'll get to the Lakers and Clippers meltdowns coming up next year in Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. just say they lose their next 3, which they probably will. They're on pace then for Dusty. 5 times 4 is?
But 5 times 4, 20.
There you go. They would, at 20 games, they would be a quarter of the way into the season. They would be on pace for 20 wins.
Yikes.
So let's say they win one more game. They'd be on pace for 24 wins.
Okay.
So things are going as anticipated, but you got to sprinkle in just enough vibes wins to keep things going well, which last night was. It was a vibes win.
It was, last night was a vibes win because, look, they showed flashes against Milwaukee, right? They get a 26-point lead. They blew it, but I hate oh my gosh, they blew a lead that big. The NBA, no lead is safe.
No.
No lead is safe, but especially when the far superior team falls into that hole,
and you're shooting the lights out and they're not.
They have the ability to snap right out of it. Like they can snap out of that thing quicker than you can ever imagine. That's exactly what Milwaukee did. And then the Blazers just could not hit the broadside of a barn.
They shot 28% in the second half.
They come back and they play hard, and all of a sudden they don't shoot 28% in the second half.
Turns out.
And you pull out a win against a team that
it's the worst defense in the NBA.
Worst defense in the NBA with one of the best guards in the NBA.
And has so far
Tyrese Halliburton
had the best offense in the NBA. So the Blazers did get a little something done. But on the flip side, not that bad. On the flip side, though, both LA teams, the Clippers and the Lakers, got the ever-living crap kicked out of them. The Lakers lose by 44 points, the fourth largest loss in Lakers franchise history.
Largest loss in LeBron's history in his career.
Joel Embiid goes for 44. A 30-11-11 triple-double.
That's insane.
They had nothing for them at all.
No. Do you hear LeBron's comments afterwards?
I did not.
Like, they asked him about, how do you address a loss like this? Do you just flush it and say, we're going to leave it another day? Or, does it sit and sting for a while? And LeBron just kind of looked at him and was like, it's going to stay with me. Like, of course it's going to stay with me. It was almost like he gave that look like, yeah, heads are going to roll because of this. Yeah. We are going to be making moves because of, we don't get embarrassed like this. I don't get embarrassed like this.
They got housed. They got absolutely housed.
Lost by 44, man.
I mean, look, Blazers loss against OKC, not that bad considering. Across the town, the Clippers.
This one is hilarious to me.
Missing Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, Reggie Jackson and DeAndre Jordan. DeAndre Jordan in a time machine. Absolutely throttle the Clippers. Reggie Jackson plays 40 minutes, goes 15 and 19, has 35 points, 13 assists, 5 rebounds. DeAndre Jordan in 34 minutes. He hasn't played 34 minutes in 4 years.
Nuggets worked them. It was
21, 13, and 5. Reggie Jackson found DeAndre Jordan for an alley-oop lob 4 different times.
Yep.
113, 104. The Nuggets are now 12 and 6 in the season. The Clippers now 7 and 9. Yeesh.
That game makes my heart warm because you go out and you make a trade for James Harden, you reap what you sow.
Oh, and you're importing cancer.
And it is exactly what everybody that is a non-James Harden believer, which is most of the public, every single person said, yeah, it'll happen eventually. And look, I understand. I think that the downfall would happen eventually with James Harden, and I thought it was going to be in the playoffs. I thought they were going to be really damn good for a long stretch, but it is taking longer for this to get off the ground than I thought.
I don't think it's getting off the ground.
And that is of the utmost concern because Harden was just getting cooked on the perimeter.
Oh, Reggie Jackson was absolutely housing him.
He was just waltzing right by James Harden, and there was no answer for it.
No.
And that was a depleted Nuggets team, as you mentioned.
No Jokic, no Jamal Murray. The entire offense, essentially.
There is no excuse to lose that game, and they did it at home.
They get embarrassed.
And then Russ Westbrook is getting into verbal altercations with fans.
Call him Westbrook.
And he did his, how you going to disrespect my family like that? Make a couple shots.
Well, the guy pretends like he's like a knight. Like somehow his last name is like, what? This isn't Westeros, dude. It's West Hollywood. Shut up.
Yeah. It's brutal to watch the Clippers right now, but I can't say I feel bad because if you are the team that acquires James Harden, you know the curse of James Harden is going to come with you. And I don't know why teams continually do this. It is beyond me why teams
talk themselves into it
after time after time talk themselves into James Harden and expect a different result.
I don't.
It's the definition of insanity.
I don't understand it. Here's something insane for you.
Yeah.
Your top 4 teams in the NBA right now, two East, 2 West.
Yeah.
Tell me if you had Boston, Orlando, Minnesota, OKC at the quarter pole mark, almost quarter pole mark, as being the top 2 teams in each conference.
Oklahoma City is
They're
a really
real.
damn good team. I don't know how much I'm buying long-term into the Timberwolves, but
I think they might end up with the number 1 seed in the West.
yeah, but
The playoffs, we'll see how that. Cat in the playoffs has been oil and water.
and it's good to see Orlando, man. Orlando just drafted every tall player they possibly could,
They
and it's
can't
working.
shoot, but my God, did they defend.
Yeah, and it's working for them. We go ahead, and then there's Boston doing their damn thing again after everybody wants to write them off. Here they come. Drew Holiday seems to be a pretty good player for him.
It's gonna be interesting to see how this thing kind of goes through the winter.
Yeah, the Josh Giddey situation, I wonder how that's going to affect the Oklahoma City Thunder in their mentals. They're playing that in a really weird way. They're not saying a single word.
Lawyers.
Dude has been all over social media with a 15-year-old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's lawyers will be.
What is
involved.
happening?
Yeah. So.
Like, nobody is talking about, like, it's like people are, because it's so out in our face, it's like, we all know it's disgusting and wrong, like, but you're going, what?
With something this serious, you need to have 100% clarity on it.
Do we not have the clarity from her Snapchats?
I'm just.
Or her Reels or whatever it is?
With AI out there, you got to make sure, right?
What is going on?
Yeah. I've heard a lot of people say that he should be set out. Flip side is, and look, I agree with that.
Yes!
To be 100% clear, I agree with that. The NBA Players Union, it doesn't want that.
It is
no matter what,
like,
no matter what it is.
But this is what I will never understand. Is like, he can be vindicated.
Yeah.
But you can't go back and say, yeah, we did the right thing by playing the guy who we saw all of these Snapchats. Like, sitting him while the investigation goes on is, it's like not just the right thing. It's the only thing to do.
Put them on paid leave.
But they're not doing anything.
Like I said, Players Union and lawyers.
Gosh, man.
Entirely sideways. Speaking of entirely sideways, we got entirely sideways with the clock. So we will get back, and it is Tuesday afternoon, which means it's time for 3 Up, 3 Down, 3 things we like, 3 things we didn't. Coming out of NFL weekend, we'll get to that and more coming up here on Danny and Dusty tonight at the Fan. right, it was a weird, fun weekend. It was craptacular last night on Monday Night Football with
Sure was, bud.
that absolute abortion of a game. Other than that, what did you like coming out of this weekend, Dusty?
All right, I'm going to start. My first up is going to be Fly, Eagles, Fly, baby. Without Lane Johnson, the Philadelphia Eagles at home in a terrible weather game pull out an overtime win. I think that like it is really hard to quantify like the importance of having that left tackle. I saw Hembo from ESPN. He tweeted out like, look, the 49ers when Trent Williams is out for 2 games, lost him by an average of 17 points per game. The Philadelphia Eagles don't have Lane Johnson, and they pull off an overtime victory over the Buffalo Bills, 37-34. Jalen Hurts doing it with his arm and his legs in a game that was horrible weather. Josh Allen went crazy. He went wild in that game, and you're able to find a way to win. 59-yard field goal that goes just over the bar. Okay, and then in overtime, you march right on down the field, and you end it with a walk-off touchdown from Jalen Hurts.
On the draw.
They have a little bit of that team that is back on the grind. After a Super Bowl loss, like that's the thing. That Super Bowl hangover is not there for the Philadelphia Eagles. They looked prime and ready to go. And to think that somehow, some way, they lost to the New York Jets is their only blemish on the season, wild to think about. But here they are at 10-1 on the season.
I want it on the record. This is probably the only time I'm ever going to do this. Dak Prescott has been the best quarterback in the NFL in the second half of the season.
Look at you.
By literally every metric.
Look at you go. I'm so proud of you for that.
Look, he's been good. Quarterback. He's been good. He's been great.
He has been. He's been fantastic. This one's going to trigger you. Them ponies. The Denver Broncos. They do it again.
That game is so ugly.
It was so ugly, but it doesn't matter because they won their last 5 games. In the last 5, the Broncos have beat the Packers, Chiefs, Bills, Vikings, Browns. One thing that all of those teams do have, with the exception of the Bills right now, good defense, right? Chiefs have a really good defense. Vikings with Brian Flores, their defense has turned a corner.
Sure.
And they're playing really good. The Browns have one of the best defenses in the NFL. They're still finding ways to win games. Is Russell Wilson what he was in his prime in Seattle? No. But you know what? The Broncos defense is playing really good football, and their offense is doing just enough to win these games. And I don't care who you are, when you win by 17 in the NFL, that's a hell of a win for the Denver Broncos, 29-12 over the offensively inept Cleveland Browns.
Yes.
I don't care how bad their offense is, though. They're taking care of business. 5 straight wins.
I refuse.
Got to give them credit.
I refuse.
Got to give them credit.
I refuse to give that team credit. It's stumbling into
Just
wins.
be good enough.
It's worse than the Minnesota Vikings last year, winning 11 one-score games. This is falling face first into wins. For me, my second up.
Face first into wins, man. They dominated that game.
God.
They beat the Chiefs 24-9.
Mahomes dragging his corpse up and down the field. The Steelers didn't have to drag the corpse of Matt Canada up and down the field anymore.
Hey!
Now, they didn't put up the points, but they did get to 400 yards for the first time since 2020.
It's the Steelers.
It's the Steelers. Turns out it was Matt Canada's fault.
Yeah, Matt Canada, not good.
Yeah.
Not good at all. And what I like about that is that Freiermuth getting the touches and the catches again. They're finding their tight end. Find the safety valve for your young quarterback who's struggling.
Crazy.
9 catches, 120 yards. That was pretty good. My third up. Those Los Angeles Rams, all right? They're not a good football team, but you got to we're ramming it. But we'll give credit where credit is due because they rammed it right down the throats of the Arizona Cardinals. 33 carries for 228 yards. They had Kyron Williams, 16 touches for 143 yards, and Rolls-Royce Freeman, former Oregon Duck, 13 carries for 77 yards. Between the two of them, they averaged a sultry 7 yards a carry. Not too bad. Not too bad in the running game, and they pull off a win over the Cardinals. But being able to do it on the ground is a little bit different for this Rams team that is on the struggle bus this season. But 2 wins over the Seahawks and the Cardinals, built to win games in your division. They are now 3-1.
Even when your division sucks.
Or 4-1, sorry, in NFC West play. Yeah, their only loss in the divisions to the Niners.
Yeah. Speaking of divisions.
Yeah.
AFC South. Not that bad.
Not that bad.
In a wonderful struggle in the AFC South, Jacksonville Jaguars come out on top 24-21 after the Texans they get a doink to lose the game in the final seconds. Trevor Lawrence, the Jaguars are getting it done now, 8-3, tied for the second best record in the AFC. Dare I say it, Dusty? Duval is
First
for
year,
real.
Took it to the limit.
And they continue in year 2 and now year 3 of Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars taking it to the limit.
Yeah, they're really good, and I love Trevor Lawrence, what he said after the game, which is they're like, hey, what is it like? Do you like having all this great quarterback play in your division? He said, I'd prefer if they were all bad. So I appreciate the honesty.
Yeah, there you go.
My first down is the Seattle Seahawks. I saw this from the great Bob Condotta of the Seattle Times. He said, via some quick research, Seattle has been an underdog by 9 or more points just 7 times since 2011. Seattle has lost the last 5 of those. They are currently 9-point dogs to the Dallas Cowboys. Things are not looking good for the old Seahawks, especially after getting just whooped 31-13 by the 49ers on Thanksgiving night.
Remind me, have the Cowboys ever had a good quarterback where they were the strong favorites where anything weird happened to them?
Yeah, it happens every year, all the time.
If there's a slip up, that's where it's going to be.
Yes, I recall the last 30 seasons, Danny.
My first down goes to the Buffalo Bills, 2-4 in their last 6 games. Their wins come against the Buccaneers and the Jets. In between that, it has been one-score hell for them. 24-18, a loss to the Bengals. 24-22, and a loss to the Broncos. 37-34, and an overtime loss to the Eagles. As much as you want to sit here and talk about and gloat and praise the Denver Broncos, the Buffalo Bills have been a much better team and yet have come out on the wrong side of things over and over and over again. I think it's officially time to be worried about the Buffalo Bills.
That's a bad statistic, buddy.
It is really bad. My second one is whatever the Patriots and Giants game was.
This team blows.
It was really, really ugly football that we saw in that game. I can't recall a time where we have seen anything quite so ugly. Do you know that they did not score a single point until the 153 mark of the first quarter of the game? Okay?
Bigger fraud than Lance Armstrong.
Do you know what the previous record was for the longest stretch before scoring the first points of the game this NFL season? Excuse me, it wasn't the first quarter, it was the first half.
Yes.
153 to go in the first half.
Yes.
It was 12:39 to go in the second quarter. Was the second longest. They went a full 10 minutes longer.
Yikes,
than
dog.
the longest scoring drought. That was atrocious football. It was just everything about it was god awful. And you mentioned the 400-yard drought being ended by the Steelers. The New England Patriots now have gone 16 games without getting 400 yards of total offense.
Good Lord. I'm going to piggyback on this and take the New York Giants
all right.
winning this game as my second down because what the hell are you doing? What are you doing? That is the team you were vying with that also needs a quarterback.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Pack it up.
Yeah.
Pack it up, you complete idiots.
Wow. All right.
The Patriots are now third and significantly more likely to end up with a better overall pick than the Giants and taking away the quarterback possibilities that the Giants so desperately need.
Yeah, that's not good, Bob. That is not good at all. My final down is the New York Jets. I don't know what else we can say about the New York Jets, but that was one of the most god-awful performances on Black Friday against the Miami Dolphins. They put our boy Boyles out there, and we saw at the end of the half an incredible play by Javon Holland of the Miami Dolphins. He was 100 yards on a pick six, right? 10 and a half. Tim Boyle could not throw the ball 55 yards to get it into the end zone.
Oh, no. Hail Mary pick six?
It was one of the most absurd things that you could do. And I saw the most perfect meme of the day was when they had like butt fumble on one side, Thanksgiving Day. Remember, that was Thanksgiving Day, Mark Sanchez. Yeah. And then it was the pick six where like there were 4 linemen all on the ground and Javon Holland just running down the sideline. And those are 2 side-by-side images that just kind of encapsulate what the Jets are. The fact of the matter is that, do you know on that drive, they converted 2 fourth downs, and that was a 17-play drive that ended with a pick six. 35% of their total game time possession was on that drive. That's how bad their offense was.
Goodness gracious. There's just, God, for all the great football we've had, there's been so much bad football, including Los Angeles Chargers in their now seemingly just willingness to employ Staley as a head coach.
Here we go.
I don't get it. I don't get it. First it's the defense, then it's the offense, then it's both. Now you can't stop anybody and you can't score. They are inept on levels that I can't imagine with that much talent. Look, we know why the Panthers suck. They have nothing to work with. The Chargers have stuff to work with everywhere.
Everywhere on both sides of the ball.
On both sides of the ball, and they suck.
You are 100% correct.
This is a coaching malfeasance, and at this point in time, I don't understand why you're continuing to employ your head coach. I don't. I can't wrap my head around it.
Well, on that note of what you just said, they had a 19-play drive that went 81 yards. It went 8 minutes and 44 seconds, and it ended with Justin Herbert being strip sacked by Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah.
That was a drive that was longer than the one that I just mentioned about the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
That's ridiculous.
I don't know how you don't. I don't understand how you don't tarmac him.
Love it.
I don't get it.
Gosh, because they don't want to just pay the guy to do nothing, and they're cheap ownership.
That has to be it.
That's exactly what it is.
That's the only justification that has any bearing in reality. Well, coming up next, we'll take a look at the college football playoff implications of the Pac-12 title game and whether or not Michael Penix Jr. is actually injured. That and more coming up in Danny Dusty, Today the Fan. the ribs against Oregon in the beginning of the third quarter, and from that moment on, he has not been the Heisman favorite anymore.
No, he's not played nearly as well. They've had more balance to their attack, running the football, and their defense has improved a little bit. But that engine operates based on Michael Penix Jr.
His
and
greatness.
They have played inferior opponents a lot closer because something just isn't right. And like this is with them getting Jalen McMillan back too. I mean, I think that is something that we need to focus on as we get closer and closer to the conference championship game, is that was a luxury that Oregon had in that first matchup, was that they didn't have McMillan in that game, right? It was Jeremy Bernard, it was Polk, it was Adunze. And now you add that extra element, whether he is fully healthy or not, it is still a threat in that receiving core. But if Michael Penix can't be the dealer that he was in that game, it is a different offense, and it's not nearly as explosive, but it's timely. And that's what I keep going back to, is that they have been very timely, but this is the best team that they will have faced since that injury happened to Michael Penix Jr. And if you look at what Oregon has done to teams since that game, they have absolutely dismantled them. And on the flip side, Washington has limped through against teams that have been one-dimensional. They really have. They've been one-dimensional in the games that they have played in their opponents. I do give them a ton of credit for the way that they played USC, but they got into a shootout in that game, and I don't think you get into shootouts against Oregon. That just doesn't happen with their style of play and the way that they want to move up and down the field, and their defense is a hell of a lot better than what USC's is. So you can't bank on getting into a shootout in this game. You've got to bank on Michael Penix Jr. sustaining drives. And if he can't push the ball down the field and those ribs really are an issue, look, that's going to be a big factor in this game, because I don't buy the fact he's under the weather or he's overly emotional. We've heard this, like the guy's gotten sick like 2 times since they played Oregon.
Weird.
Like, put the guy in the damn bubble.
Yeah, right. It's weird how he just keeps getting sick. I don't understand it.
And you cannot, like, I know that's what they said about, like, he was overly emotional. I would have celebrated with his teammates, right? After the Apple Cup win. Like, that was a weird exit of the field. And if he is not okay, that's a big factor in this game. But I still go back to late in games, when everybody knows in the entire stadium where the ball is going,
they still find a way.
They still get it done, and he still finds a way to get the ball to Rome Odunze.
He throws an absolute dime 40 yards downfield. And here's the thing. You take a look at his last – let's look at the post-Oregon games, okay? Week after, they get Arizona State. 275 yards, no tutties, 2 picks.
Yep.
He dismantles Stanford.
Yes.
21 of 37, 369, 4 touchdowns. But again, Stanford. USC goes for 256, 2 tutties, and an interception. Utah, he looks like he gets back on track, but his completion percentage drops to 57%. Doesn't quite look right. Then he completes 46% for $162 against the Beavers, and then 54% for $204 against the Cougs.
Yep.
Look, those teams, like you have a solid Oregon State team and a rivalry game, but I mean, you start looking at that all in totality, that's not sick. You aren't sick for a month.
Yep. I mean, you could be, but
I mean,
I'm
sure.
Not, something looks off
I'm not
beyond
buying
that.
it. I think his ribs got broke, and he's been playing with either broken ribs or torn cartilage. And he got hit on the left side, and he's left-handed.
He's a damn warrior for being able to play. Even at that level, those numbers aren't the crooked numbers.
No, but they're
funny
still
numbers.
really good.
They're still really damn
But
good.
that's the thing is, that's what takes this team from a good Pac-12 team to a national title contender.
Yep.
Him at his best, this is more balanced USC.
Yeah.
Last year, the reason USC was so good is because they had a little bit more balance, but you had a quarterback playing at a level that just nobody could keep up with. Penix was doing that to start the year up until the Oregon game, really up until halftime of the Oregon game.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, that's very true. And the second half, Oregon looked different, but so did Mike Penix about midway through that third quarter. And on the Duck side, like, there's a lot of questions that are still kind of up in the air too. I mean, Dan Lanning did say that Gary Bryant Jr. is in good shape to play against UW.
Which is shocking considering the way he went down.
Yeah, the way he went down, that was pretty scary. Yeah. But Jaleel Florence, look,
Still in a sling.
He was in a sling on the sideline. Roderick Pleasant wasn't playing. Like, you need that depth at corner. We saw that depth kind of play out over the course of that game.
Particularly when Bridges came in.
Well, when Jaleel Florence went down in that game against UW, and then Kyrie Jackson went down on the same play, they had to bring 2 fresh corners in. And I thought Triquez Bridges, he played really admirably in that game. Like, he did. But you're going to need speed. And one thing that Oregon's defense is so good at is that they've built that roster to situationally can mix and match size and speed. And Roderick Pleasant is one of the fastest players in all of college football. Like, he is a burner. He's got world-class speed on the track. But you also have Jaleel Florence, who is your prototypical corner, right? He is not the big body like Triquez Bridges, which his physicality kind of caught UW off guard
because it's a completely
for a few series. But then they just started saying, all right, well, let's try to create mismatches with speed on him. And that's why you see all of these substitutions. They have speed and size at every level of the defense that they interchange situationally. They rotate more guys in than any other team in college football. I mean, it is mind-blowing how many guys on every play, different packages coming in and out of the field. They're going to need their secondary to get more healthy, but Gary Bryant Jr. being healthy is a big plus heading into this game.
Yeah, the health of both the Ducks and the Huskies ahead of the Pac-12 title game is going to be huge coming up here on Friday afternoon. The last college football playoff jockeying is happening about an hour and a half from now. And we'll get our last preview before the final college football playoff announcement comes out following the conference title week. Where will the Ducks and Huskies land? Coming up next on Danny and Dusty Today Fan. But first, here's the Big Kahuna.
You mind if I have some of your tasty beverage to wash this down?
This is Pac-12 Championship Week with Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by Mods PDX. The future of building is here.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Vulcan Design and Construction. Check out their award-winning outdoor living designs or schedule your free design consultation at vulcandc.com. First on The Fan, Jonathan Smith officially introduced as Michigan State's new head coach this morning. Over in Corvallis, Kerry Eggers reporting Beavers defensive coordinator Trent Bray will be announced as head coach later today. Former Utah State head coach and 2-time Mountain West Coach of the Year Matt Wells and former Wisconsin head coach Paul Chryst also reportedly were candidates, or are. Yahoo Sports' Ross Dellinger reports Oregon State, Washington State, and the Mountain West are close to finalizing their scheduling agreement for the 2024 season. It is believed Mountain West teams will play 7 conference games, plus Oregon State or Washington State. There is an option to extend the deal to 2025. Oregon's Bo Nix among the 3 finalists for the Walter Camp National Player of the Year. He's joined by LSU's Jaden Daniels and Washington's Michael Penix Jr. Those same 3 also the finalists for the Maxwell Award and the Davy O'Brien Award. Oregon's Troy Franklin not among the 3 finalists for the Biletnikoff Award given to the nation's top receiver. The finalists are Ohio State's Marvin Harrison Jr., LSU's Malik Neighbors, and Washington's Rome Odunze. And in the NFL, Vincent Bonsignor of the Las Vegas Review-Journal reports former Stanford head coach David Shaw is the name to keep an eye on for the Raiders' head coaching vacancy. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Spirit Mountain Casino brings you big games on big screens with big-time sports betting action. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
Your favorite fan shows are on YouTube. Mash the subscribe button and like us for live streaming video and 1080 The Fan on demand.
do you expect there to be made?
Boy, this is going to be really interesting because if the quality of the win really matters for you, which the committee has said that, quality of a win matters, Michigan should be the number one team in the country, especially doing it without their head coach against Ohio State, which they say they take injuries and coaches being there or not being there into account.
And also, that score was not indicative of the game.
No, they played really well.
They mauled Ohio State.
And game control is something that they always talk about. That is the second top 10 win in 3 weeks in the playoff committee's mind for the Michigan Wolverines. And I don't know if you can say that Georgia has anything as close as what Michigan has on their resume. They have beaten a team that the committee has ranked 18th in Tennessee. But does anybody believe that Tennessee is a top 25 team? They have 4 losses on the year.
No.
They beat number 9 Ole Miss, and they took Ole Miss behind the woodshed. And then they beat what the committee believes is number 12 Missouri, and they handled them by a couple of scores. But we're talking about the committee said at the time Penn State was the 9th-ranked team in the country. At the time, Ohio State was the 2nd-ranked team in the country, and Michigan controlled both of those games and won both of those games. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Michigan at number 1. I could also see them saying, because we've seen Boo Carrington say this before, that Georgia did nothing to lose their spot as the number 1 team in the country, despite the fact that they played a really close game with Georgia Tech. Like they
did something to lose their spot. They played a very close game with a program that's not very good.
But you win the game. And they've said ridiculous things like, wow, that's not enough reason for them to knock down, despite the fact Michigan did everything to prove, yeah, they probably deserve that number 1 spot, right?
I don't know how they can say Michigan's not the top team in the country.
I don't either.
Look, I know how they can because SEC exists.
They do it.
But Michigan, from everything that I have seen this season, they are the best team in the country.
Yeah. Yeah, outside of that, I mean, you're going to have Michigan or Georgia 1, 2, and I think it should be Michigan 1, Georgia 2. I think what you'll see is Washington move up to 3 and Florida State at 4 because those teams both played pretty tight games. Washington's way closer with Washington State than Florida State's was with Florida. But, they both won those football games, and the committee said, hey, we believe Washington is better just last week, despite what Florida State is doing. And so, I mean, again, I could see them flipping and saying, well, it was a convincing win by Florida State over Florida. But neither one of them should be punished for finding ways to win games because remember, just a week ago when Florida State scraped by Miami, they said rivalry games. Weird things happen. That literally came out of Boo Carrington's mouth. So he should keep that same energy with the Apple Cup, right?
But
so
Willie,
I think it'll be 3 and 4, Washington 3. And Florida State 4. I think they'll follow what the AP did and say Oregon 5, Ohio State 6, because that positions the Pac-12 for a win-in-you're-in game. And I think they deserve to have a win-in-you're-in with the conference champion being a one-loss team or undefeated.
I think my frustrated argument from last week is alive. I think there's legitimately a way that 2 Pac-12 teams can get in.
There's going to have to be a lot that happens. Louisville has to beat Florida State.
Yes.
You have to have
Georgia beating Alabama.
Georgia beat Alabama, and
maybe Texas lose. I think that's the other domino needs to fall.
Yeah, Texas losing to Oklahoma State.
If all 3 of those things happen and Oregon Washington is close and Oregon wins, I think you could see Oregon 3, Washington 4.
I could see that. I mean, I could,
which would be insane, but. I think the door is cracked open.
There was a lot of was it Fox big game day kickoff or whatever they call it. It's not the big noon's the name of the game, but like the big kickoff show or whatever.
Show, yeah.
I saw that like of their 6 panelists, 4 of them had Oregon and Washington in the top 4.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that's what I'm kind of
not out of the
this
realm.
Isn't like trying to prop up the Pac-12. I just think the way that, again, resume. Washington has beat 4 top 25 teams, 3 on the road.
Yep.
Their one loss would be in a conference title game to the number 5 team in the country.
Yeah.
On a neutral site.
It's just that West Coast bias we hear about all the time.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And Oregon's one loss would be by 1 score to the number 3 team in the country on the road. Those would be the blemishes on their records.
Yeah.
So if we're going by resume, how can you argue otherwise against them?
You can't.
And that's ultimately that's what I was saying last week.
Except for how many top 10 or 25 wins that you have on your schedule, I guess.
Again,
but,
Washington will have 4.
Yeah, I think that they would, in that scenario, if you're getting a one-loss Pac-12 team in, I think they would make that argument for Ohio State too. And you could say Ohio State's lone loss was to Michigan on the road by a touchdown.
But also they played nobody all season long.
Well, they did beat Penn State, which they're getting credit for, and they have them at 11th, right? It's all what the committee feels, right?
No.
And I just got a text from Bartu that says Ohio State 5, Oregon 6. Game is still win and you're in, though, if you're Oregon.
His metric says it.
He could see them at Ohio State still holding on to that 5 spot, and 6 being another one. They also got a little other things too. Yeah.
Oh,
pretty good.
All right. Well, maybe we'll get to that and more coming up here as we wrap up today's show. Danny Dusty, Today the Fan.
where it is, all signs point to it. You had Angie Machado saying that it appeared that was going to be the move early in the day. Kerry Eggers tweeted out that, an announcement is coming soon. So I'd stay tuned on Kerry's, Twitter and to Angie Machado at beaverblitz.com. Everything that you've been hearing is, it does point in that direction. And whoever the third candidate is, there's a lot of people that aren't quite there's a lot of the third name. We're seeing so many different names come out, whether it's Brent Brennan, the San Jose State coach, whether it's Matt Wells, the Utah State coach, whether it is, the rumor mills of big names coming into Corvallis for that third interview. It does appear that it is, by all accounts, Trent Bray is who they're targeting. Players want Trent Bray. It is not restarting the rebuild of the house. It is keeping it intact as much as you possibly can. And the players are going to want that. And this is a big time for Oregon State to keep players that are Power 5 caliber players, because we found out the schedule's coming out too. Now it is, what do you do with that staff? And, of course, when anytime that you hear any of these things, I was talking to Dave Bartu,
who does
of the Matrix, about, who are the guys that are the hot